Are you feeling overwhelmed by the ceaseless noise in your own head? That endless stream of worries about the future, regrets about the past, and self-criticism that never seems to sleep? Do you lie in bed at night, just wanting quiet, but your mind seems to have a life of its own, racing in 1,000 directions? What if I told you that peace, true inner stillness, isn't hours of meditation away, nor reserved only for monks in distant monasteries? What if I told you that the first step to taming this storm takes only 5 minutes? Welcome to a transformative journey. In the following chapters, we won't just talk about theories. We will dive deep into ancient Buddhist teachings, adapted for the modern world, that offer us the exact keys to bringing quiet to the mind. This isn't a trick. It's training. If you are ready to stop being a prisoner of your own thoughts and to finally find the clarity and calm you deserve, stay with me. This video is your ultimate guide. Before we begin this journey, I ask for 2 simple things that help us enormously. If you are seeking this peace, leave a like on this video so this message can reach more people who also need it. And, most importantly, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications, because you won't want to miss a single chapter of this series. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Diagnosis of the Noise, Understanding the Monkey Mind. Before we can bring quiet to the mind, we must understand why it's so noisy. Why exactly do our thoughts seem to have such high volume, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? Buddhist tradition has a perfect metaphor for this, thousands of years old, yet it seems to perfectly describe the modern brain, the monkey mind. Imagine a monkey. It doesn't sit still. It leaps from branch to branch, from tree to tree, restlessly. Sees a fruit, it grabs it. Hears a noise, it reacts. It's driven by immediate instinct, by ceaseless curiosity, and the search for gratification. Now, Buddhist teachings say that our mind, in its natural, untrained state, functions in exactly the same way. Our thoughts are the branches. A thought about work, I have to finish that report, leads to a thought about a colleague, he seemed irritated today, which leads to a memory, I remember when I embarrassed myself in last year's meeting, which leads to a worry, am I going to be fired? In 30 seconds, we've gone from a practical task to an existential crisis, without even realizing how we got there. This is the monkey jumping. But Buddhism goes further. It doesn't just say we have a monkey mind. It suggests we have a drunk monkey mind. And not just drunk, but a drunk monkey that has just been stung by a scorpion. What does this mean? Drunk represents our confusion. Our thoughts aren't just fast. They are often illogical, distorted, and clouded by our emotions. We overreact, we see insults where there are none, we create catastrophic scenarios from small uncertainties. The scorpion sting is dukkha, the Pali word often translated as suffering or dissatisfaction. It is the pain, the anxiety, the restlessness we feel. The monkey isn't just jumping. It's jumping in pain, making its movements even more erratic and desperate. This is the default state of the untrained human mind. And it's crucial to understand this. It is not your fault. You are not broken or defective for having a noisy mind. You have a human brain that evolved for survival. Your brain was designed to anticipate threats, anxiety about the future, and learn from mistakes, ruminating on the past. The problem is, in the modern world, this survival mechanism is in overdrive. The predator is now an unanswered email, a strange look at the supermarket, or an unexpected bill. The first Buddhist teaching for quieting the mind is not to fight the monkey. If you try to catch a scared monkey, it will scream louder, bite harder, and fight with more ferocity. If you yell at your thoughts to stop, they will return with double the force. So what is the approach? The first step is what we are doing right now, mindful observation. Instead of being the monkey, you become the observer of the monkey. Imagine sitting quietly under a tree and just watching this wild monkey leap from branch to branch. You don't judge it. You don't try to stop it. You just observe. Ah, there it goes, jumping to the money worry branch. And now, it leaped to the embarrassing memory from 10 years ago branch. Interesting. This shift in perspective is the foundation of everything. It is what we call mindfulness. You separate your identity, your conscious self, from your thoughts, the noise. The thoughts are not you. They are mental events that arise and pass like weather. You are not the storm. You are the sky watching the storm pass. When we stop fighting, when we stop identifying with every passing thought, something magical happens. The monkey, realizing it's no longer being chased, begins to calm down. Maybe it still jumps a bit, but the desperation fades. The scorpion's sting starts to hurt less. The volume begins to turn down. The purpose of the 5 minutes we will explore is not to kill the monkey or force absolute silence. The purpose is to practice being the observer, is to create a space, however small, between you and your stream of thoughts. Right now, as you listen to my voice, try this. Just for 10 seconds. Notice the thoughts passing through your mind right now. Maybe this makes sense, or when does he get to the technique? It doesn't matter what the thought is. Just notice it like a cloud passing in the sky. Don't cling to it. Don't push it away. Just observe. This is the first key. You cannot heal what you cannot see. You cannot quiet what you do not understand. The noise in your mind is the monkey mind, drunk and suffering, jumping uncontrollably. Your first task is not to fight it, but simply to acknowledge it with compassion and detachment. In the next chapter, we will tackle the biggest myth that stops people from finding peace, the belief that you must stop thinking. We will deconstruct this idea and introduce the second Buddhist pillar, the transformative power of the breath as an anchor in the present. Chapter 2. The myth of stopping thinking. The Buddhist truth about quiet. In the first chapter, we identified our challenge. The monkey mind, noisy, erratic, and reactive. The natural reaction for most of us, upon realizing this internal chaos, is one of aversion. We want the noise to stop. Immediately, we sit down to meditate, close our eyes, and our first internal command is, okay, brain, stop thinking, be empty. And what happens? Within 3 seconds, the monkey is jumping more than ever. Am I doing this right? I'm thinking. Damn it, I'm not supposed to be thinking. Now I'm thinking about thinking. This is useless. Why does my nose itch? I just remembered I need to buy milk. This is, perhaps, the biggest obstacle that prevents 99% of people from finding mental peace. They give up in the first 5 minutes because they are trying to achieve an impossible goal based on a fundamental misunderstanding. Here is the central truth, one of the most liberating teachings of Buddhism. The goal is not to stop thinking. Trying to stop thinking is like trying to flatten the ocean. The ocean was born to have waves. The mind was born to produce thoughts. Thinking is the natural function of the brain, just as breathing is the function of the lungs and beating is the function of the heart. Asking the brain to stop thinking is like asking the heart to stop beating. It is a fight you are destined to lose, and the fight itself creates more tension and more noise. The quiet we seek is not the absence of thoughts. That would be a coma, not enlightenment. True quiet, Buddhist quiet, is changing your relationship with your thoughts. It is the stillness behind the noise. It is the ability to be in the middle of the mental marketplace with all the vendors shouting thoughts, and yet remain in a state of deep inner calm, not being pulled by any single stall. Think of it this way: thoughts are like clouds in the sky. On a normal day, we are so identified with them that we think we are the clouds. If a dark cloud of sadness appears, we say, "I am sad." If a cloud of anger appears, "I am angry." We merge with the passing weather of our minds. Buddhist practice, the first step to quieting the mind, is not to make the clouds disappear. It's to teach you to unhook from the cloud and land firmly on the ground. It's to teach you to be the sky, the vast, aware, unmoving, and clear space that allows all clouds, thoughts, emotions, sensations, to come and go without resistance. The sky doesn't care if the clouds are white and fluffy or dark and stormy. It just watches them pass. So, if we can't stop the thoughts, what do? We give the monkey something to do, but not something complicated. We give it the simplest, most fundamental, and most present task that exists: to watch the breath. In Zen, there is a saying, "When you walk, just walk. When you sit, just sit. Above all, don't wobble." In our case, it would be, when you breathe, just breathe. The breath is the most powerful tool in the Buddhist arsenal for several reasons. First, it is always with you. You can't leave it at home. Second, it is always happening now. You cannot breathe in the past, and you cannot breathe in the future. Your breath is your hardware anchor for the present moment, the only place the monkey mind cannot survive. The monkey thrives in the past, rumination, guilt, or the future, anxiety, planning. It hates the present. The present moment is the one place the monkey finds boring, and that is exactly where we find our power. When we say we will quiet the mind in 5 minutes, what we actually mean is we will practice for 5 minutes bringing our attention back to the breath, repeatedly without judgment. And here, without judgment becomes crucial. You will sit down. You will close your eyes. You will focus on the sensation of air entering and leaving your nose. In perhaps for seconds, the monkey mind will grab your attention. I just remembered that email. This is the critical moment. The untrained person reacts with frustration. Damn it! I failed. I can't meditate. The Buddhist practice is radically different. The moment you notice your mind has wandered, that moment is not a failure. That moment is the victory. That moment of, I noticed I was thinking, is the moment of gold. It is the awakening. You were lost in the dream of thought, and now you have woken up. And what do you do when you wake up? Gently, with the same gentleness you would use to guide a lost puppy back home, you lightly bring your attention back to the anchor, the breath. You don't criticize yourself. You don't sigh in frustration. You don't analyze why you wandered. You simply note the thought, perhaps even silently labeling it, thinking. And with a mental smile, you return to the air coming in, the air going out. In 5 minutes, you will do this 10, 50, maybe 100 times. And the goal is not to reduce the number of times you wander. The goal is to increase the number of times you return. The practice is not permanence. The practice is the return. Every return is a rep of your mindfulness muscle. This is how we quiet the mind. Not by building a dam to stop the river of thoughts, but by simply sitting on the bank and watching the river flow without jumping in. Our anchor on the bank is our breath. The noise doesn't stop, but it stops bothering us. The thoughts keep appearing, but they lose their power to hijack us. They become transparent. They are like background music in a restaurant. You know it's there, but you don't have to stop your conversation to analyze it. You finally find that quiet space between the thoughts. And with practice, that space gets wider and deeper. In the next chapter, we will turn this theory into action. I will guide you, step by step, through the most fundamental and powerful 5-minute technique of all. The practice of anapanasati, or mindfulness of breathing. We will build your refuge from the storm. Chapter 3. The Sacred Anchor, the 5-minute practice, anapanasati. In the previous chapters, we did 2 essential things. We diagnosed the noise as the monkey mind, and we debunked the myth that we must stop thinking. We understood that the goal is not emptiness, but detached observation. The quiet we seek is the space that exists behind the noise. But how do we access this space? How do we stop being the cloud and become the sky? The answer is through practice, a deliberate action. We must give the monkey a constructive task. If we leave it free, it will jump into the past and future. If we fight it, it will bite us. Therefore, we train it. And humanity's oldest and most effective training tool is what the Buddha called anapanasati, mindfulness of the breath. This is the exact technique we will use to quiet the mind in 5 minutes. This is not a metaphor. It is a practical guide. First, the setup. Before the 5 minutes begin, you need 3 things: a place, a posture, and an intention. The place can be anywhere you can sit relatively undisturbed. It doesn't need to be a mountaintop temple. Your office chair, the edge of your bed when you wake up, your parked car with the engine off. The world is noisy. The practice is learning to find the quiet within the noise. But to begin, help yourself choose a quiet spot. More important than the place is the posture. Many get lost here. They think they must sit in the lotus position, twisting their knees. This is a myth. Buddhism is not about contortionism. It's about awareness. The ideal posture can be on a chair. Sit so your spine is straight but not stiff. Imagine your head is being gently pulled toward the ceiling by a string. Zen masters say to stack the vertebrae like a pile of gold coins. Your feet should be flat on the floor, feeling the ground. Your hands can rest comfortably in your lap. Why this posture? Because it is the embodiment of balance. If you lean back too far, you'll fall asleep. If you tense up too much, you'll become anxious. The posture is dignified, alert, and relaxed. You are telling your body and mind, I am here, I am present, I am ready. Finally, the intention. The intention is simple. For the next 5 minutes, my only job is to observe my breath. If my mind wanders, my job is to gently bring it back. Now, take your phone and set a timer. 5 minutes. Use a gentle alarm sound, like a bell or a harp, not a fire alarm that will jolt you back into panic mode. Start the timer. Close your eyes. The first minute, landing. Start by just listening to the sounds around you. Don't judge them as good or bad. A car passing is just sound. The air conditioner is sound. Just listen for a few seconds, allowing them to pass through you. Now bring your attention inward. Feel the weight of your body on the chair. Feel your feet on the floor. Now find the breath. Don't change it. Don't try to breathe deeply or correctly. Your body knows how to breathe. Your job is just to observe it doing so. You need a focus point, an anchor. Choose one. The nostrils. Feel the subtle sensation of the air entering, perhaps slightly cooler and drier. Feel it exiting, perhaps slightly warmer and more moist. The abdomen. Feel the gentle expansion on the inhale and the contraction on the exhale. Choose one of these points and rest your attention there. Your attention is like a spotlight. For the next few minutes, just keep this spotlight gently on the sensation of breathing. Minutes 2 and 3, the storm and the return. Somewhere around here, probably within the first 10 seconds, it will happen. A thought. Am I doing this right? 5 minutes is a long time. What am I having for dinner? The monkey mind has made its appearance. This is the crucial moment. As we said in chapter 2, this is not a failure. This is the moment of practice. You noticed. You woke up from the thought. Now execute the most important instruction in Buddhism. Gently release the thought and return to the anchor. Imagine your attention is a puppy. You place it on its bed, the breath. It runs off. You don't yell at the dog. You don't hit it. You smile, gently pick it up, and place it back on the bed. 100 times. 1,000 times. This is the practice. The gentleness is essential. If you judge yourself, damn it, I'm thinking again. You are just adding a second monkey to the party. Be gentle. Note the thought and return. As you practice this return, you might be realizing how valuable this simple skill truly is. This is the core of mental training. If this journey to find inner peace resonates with you, and if you want more people to discover this path, please hit the like button right now. It's an incredible signal for us. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. We are just at the beginning of our journey together, and each chapter builds on the last. You don't want to miss the next step. Minute 4, handling distractions. The monkey doesn't just attack with thoughts. It attacks with physical sensations. Suddenly, your nose itches. Your leg is falling asleep. You hear a loud noise outside. Use the same technique. If the itch is mild, just observe it. Interesting. An itch. Witness how it changes, grows, and often disappears on its own. You are learning not to be reactive. If the itch is unbearable, no problem. Move your hand mindfully. Feel the intention to move. Feel the hand moving through the air. Itch the itch. Feel the sensation of scratching. Mindfully, bring your hand back to your lap, and without drama, return to the breath. The meditation wasn't ruined. You just included the itch in your mindfulness practice. If a loud sound happens, don't resist it. Resistance creates tension. Just note, sound. Let it enter and leave your awareness. Your primary focus, your anchor, the breath, is still there, patiently waiting for you in the background. Minute 5, deepening the quiet. By now, you may have returned to the breath 30 times. Or perhaps you found a short 10-second period where you were just with the breath. Both are victories. You might notice the space between thoughts starting to widen. The background static of your mind turning down a notch. You are not empty. You are present. You are anchored in the now, watching life happen, one breath at a time. This is the quiet we are looking for. It is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of awareness. When the gentle alarm sounds, don't jump. The transition is just as important as the practice. Keep your eyes closed for another 30 seconds. Release the focus on the breath and just feel. How does your body feel? How does your mind feel? There is no right or wrong answer. Just observe. Make a silent intention to take this calm, this awareness, into the rest of your day. Then slowly open your eyes. Notice the colors and shapes in the room as if seeing them for the first time. You did it. You have just actively trained your brain for quiet. You didn't fight the monkey. You taught it to sit still, even if just for a few moments. In the next chapter, we will explore the first great insight you will discover as you continue this 5-minute practice. The profound truth of impermanence and why it is the key to freeing ourselves from suffering. Chapter 4. The Great Discovery. Everything is impermanent, anicca. If you practice the 5-minute technique we described in the last chapter, even for just a few days, you will inevitably stumble upon the first and perhaps most profound of the 3 marks of existence as taught by the Buddha. It is a discovery that will fundamentally change how you see yourself and the world. This discovery is anicca, a Pali word that means impermanence. At first, the idea of impermanence might sound depressing. We say nothing lasts forever with a sigh of sadness, thinking of happy moments that ended, relationships that changed, or youth that faded. But in Buddhist practice, anicca is not a pessimistic philosophy. It is the single most liberating observation you can make. And your 5-minute practice becomes the laboratory where you prove this to yourself over and over again. How does this work? When you sit to observe your mind, what do you really see? You do not see a solid entity called me. You do not see a monolithic, fixed problem. What you see is a constant, flowing river of rapidly changing phenomena. First, you observe the impermanence of thoughts. You sit and a thought arises. I am anxious about tomorrow's meeting. Feels huge. Feels solid and scary. But because you are practicing anapanasati, watching the breath, you don't grab onto it. You note it and you gently return to the breath. And then what happens to that thought? It vanishes. Cannot survive without your continuous attention. 5 seconds later, another thought appears. What is that smell? Is someone cooking? And then that too disappears. And it's replaced by an image, a memory, an itch. Your 5-minute lab demonstrates, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that thoughts have no substance of their own. They are like soap bubbles. They appear, glitter for a moment, and pop. Why is this so liberating? Because most of our suffering comes from treating our thoughts as if they are permanent and true. We take one anxious thought and build an identity out of it. I am an anxious person. We take one thought of failure and solidify it. I am a failure. Mindfulness practice shatters this illusion. It shows you that you are not an anxious person. You are a vast consciousness that is, in this exact moment, experiencing the passing thought of anxiety. Came and it will go. You don't have to do anything with it, except watch it pass. The monkey jumps, but you don't have to jump with it. Next, you discover the impermanence of physical sensations. As mentioned, you sit and your knee starts to hurt. Your first reaction, from a lifetime of conditioning, is, I can't stand this. This is terrible. I must move. You create an entire story around the sensation. But in your practice, you try something different. You move your curious, non-judgmental attention right to the sensation. Instead of labeling it knee pain, you investigate it. What is it, really? Is it a feeling of heat? A throbbing? Pressure? Is it constant, or is it pulsing? In doing this, you discover something incredible. The pain is not a solid thing. It's an assembly of micro-sensations that are changing in every millisecond. Pulses, it moves, it gets more intense, it fades. And often, the moment you stop resisting it and just observe it with mindfulness, it loses its power over you. It may even dissolve. You learn that pain is inevitable, that dukkha of the scorpion sting. But suffering, our mental reaction, our story of "I hate this," is optional. Finally, and most profoundly, you discover the impermanence of emotions. Maybe you sit down to meditate feeling sad or irritated. The emotion feels like a heavy, dark cloud filling your entire being. You can't see anything else but it. But you sit for your 5 minutes. You anchor to your breath. And you allow the emotion to be there in the background. You don't try to suppress it, nor do you wallow in it. You just breathe with it. Okay, sadness, I see you. You can sit here. My job is just to breathe. Guess what happens? No emotion can survive indefinitely under the spotlight of non-judgmental awareness. The energy of the emotion begins to dissipate. Like a storm burning itself out, the sadness starts to feel less personal, less solid. You can feel the first glimmer of clear space behind it. You realize you are not your sadness. You are the space that holds the sadness. And because you are the container, you are bigger than it is. This is how anicca sets us free. It teaches us the art of letting go in real time. We can't let go of something if we are clinging to it for dear life, believing it's permanent and solid. But when we see experimentally, in our own 5-minute practice, that everything is like a flow of water, thoughts, sounds, pains, joys, sorrows, we stop trying to grab the river. We stop clinging desperately to the good moments, knowing they too will pass, and we stop fighting violently against the bad moments, knowing they too will pass. We find a deep balance, an equanimity, right in the center of constant change. When your mind is noisy, instead of being frustrated by the noise, try being curious about it. Ask yourself, how fast are these thoughts changing? Are they solid? Or are they like smoke? By investigating impermanence, you stop giving fuel to the monkey. You take away its drink and you treat the scorpion sting. You don't force it into silence. You simply stop participating in its chaos. And in that space, the quiet that was already there all along begins to emerge. In the next chapter, we will explore the second mark of existence your practice will reveal, the nature of suffering, dukkha, and why the root of all our mental noise is craving, clinging, and aversion. Chapter 5. The engine of noise, the subtlety of dukkha, dissatisfaction. In the last chapter, we made a liberating discovery in our 5-minute lab, anicca or impermanence. We saw that our thoughts, sensations, and emotions are not solid, permanent things. They are passing events, like clouds in the sky. But this raises a crucial question. If everything is just passing, why do we suffer so much? If an anxious thought is just a cloud, why does it feel like a hurricane that can destroy us? This brings us to the second great truth the Buddha identified, a truth that is the key to understanding why our minds are so noisy in the first place. This truth is dukkha. Dukkha is a Pali word that is often and incompletely translated as suffering. Yes, dukkha includes the big suffering of life, sickness, loss, grief. But that's not the form of dukkha we're interested in today. The form that fuels our daily mental noise is a more subtle translation. Dissatisfaction. It's the feeling of friction. It's the pebble in the shoe of existence. It's that background restlessness that tells us something isn't quite right. It's the itch we can never fully scratch. It is the engine that makes the monkey mind jump. If anicca, impermanence, is the observation that everything flows, dukkha, dissatisfaction, is our reaction to that flow. And here is the greatest insight of all, the second noble truth of Buddhism. The cause of this dissatisfaction, the cause of all mental noise, is one single thing: tanha. Tanha is translated as craving, clinging, or thirst. Think about it. What is the noise in your mind? 99% of all your thoughts are a form of tanha. They fall into two categories: clinging, the want pull I want; aversion, the don't want push I don't want. Your mind isn't noisy by accident. It is noisy because it is a wanting and not wanting machine that never, ever stops. Let's look at clinging. The monkey sees a fruit, something pleasant, and leaps toward it. Our mind does the same. I like that compliment. I need more. If I get that promotion, then I'll be happy. I have to check my phone. There might be a notification. The mind generates an endless stream of noise in the form of planning, fantasizing, desiring, and anticipating to get or keep pleasant experiences. When you replay a happy memory in your head, that is clinging. When you worry you'll lose your job, that is clinging to the salary, to the status. Now, aversion. The monkey sees a snake, something painful, and leaps away, screaming. Our mind does the same. I hate this traffic. I can't believe she said that to me. I don't want to do this difficult task. The mind generates a deafening noise in the form of anger, guilt, rumination, and anxiety to avoid or get rid of unpleasant experiences. When you replay an argument in your mind, thinking of what you should have said, that is aversion. When you feel anxious about a physical pain, that is aversion to the sensation. The monkey mind isn't just jumping randomly, as we thought in Chapter 1. It's being pulled by strings. It jumps toward what it likes, clinging, and it jumps away from what it dislikes, aversion. Our mind becomes a battlefield. We are in a constant tug of war with reality. Reality presents us with something, anicca. Everything changes. If we like it, we cling to it. When it inevitably changes, because everything is impermanent, we suffer, dukkha. If we don't like it, we push it away, aversion. If it doesn't move, we suffer, dukkha. Mental noise is the sound of this tug of war. It is the sound of your mind resisting impermanence. And how does our 5-minute practice reveal this? In a brutally clear way. You sit down. You close your eyes. You try to focus on your breath. Within 30 seconds, your leg starts to tingle. What happens? Aversion. Your mind starts screaming, "This is uncomfortable. Move. You can't stand this. This is a terrible meditation." This noise is dukkha fueled by aversion. The practice is to note this screaming, and instead of reacting, moving your leg, just observe the sensation. You learn to sit with discomfort without it becoming suffering. 2 minutes in, you remember a brilliant idea you need to do for work. What happens? Clinging. Your mind screams, "Stop meditating. You must write this down. It's genius. You'll forget." This noise is dukkha fueled by clinging to your own brilliance. The practice is to note this screaming, acknowledge the thought as thinking, and gently let it go, returning to the breath. You learn that ideas come and go, and you don't have to be a slave to every single one. In each of these cases, you are doing something revolutionary. You are breaking the habit loop of tanha. The normal loop is stimulus, itch, dash, craving, aversion, dash, reaction, scratch. The normal loop is stimulus, idea, dash, craving, clinging, dash, reaction, stop and write. In your practice, you insert a conscious breaker switch. Stimulus, itch, dash, craving, aversion, dash, mindful observation, dash, reaction is optional. In that space you create between the craving and the reaction, you find your quiet. When you practice not reacting to clinging and aversion for 5 minutes, you are weakening the engine of the noise. You are teaching the monkey that it doesn't have to jump at every single branch. You are telling your mind, I see you wanting, I see you not wanting, and it's okay. We don't have to act on it. The quiet that arises is not an empty quiet. It is a peaceful quiet. It is the peace of no longer being a slave. It is the freedom of no longer being constantly pushed and pulled by every passing thought and sensation. You stop being a reactor and you start being an observer. The noise turns down because the fuel, your clinging and your aversion, is being cut off. In the next chapter, we'll dig even deeper. We've seen thoughts are impermanent, anicca. We've seen our clinging to them causes suffering, dukkha. Now we will ask the most profound question of all. If we are not our thoughts and we are not our cravings, then who exactly is the one observing? This will lead us to the third and most liberating truth, anatta, or the absence of a fixed self. Chapter 6. The final illusion, the truth about self, anatta. So far on our journey to quiet the mind, we have made monumental discoveries. In our 5-minute lab, we have proven experimentally that all of our thoughts, sensations, and emotions are impermanent, anicca. They are like clouds that come and go. We have also discovered that the noise in our mind, the monkey mind, is fueled by our clinging and aversion to these passing clouds. Our suffering, dukkha, comes from trying to hold on to the pleasant clouds and fight off the unpleasant ones. This has led us to a powerful conclusion. I am not my thoughts. I am not my emotions. I am not my pain. If I can observe my anxiety, I cannot be my anxiety. I must be the observer. And this invariably leads to the deepest question a human can ask. Then, who or what is this observer? Who is this I that is watching all of this? If the monkey mind is the storm, and Buddhist practice is about finding the eye of the storm, what do we find in this silent center? The Buddha's answer to this question is the third and most revolutionary of the 3 marks of existence, anatta. In Pali, this means non-self or no fixed self. This is, by far, the most difficult idea to grasp intellectually, but it is something your 5-minute practice can begin to show you directly. From the moment we are born, we build a story of me. It's a story composed of our memories, our preferences, I like coffee, I hate traffic, our roles, I am a mother, I am an engineer, and our beliefs, I'm good at math, I am an anxious person. We believe there is a solid, permanent, independent self, like a CEO in a control room in our heads, who is in charge and living this life. We think of this self as the observer. Buddhist practice, when taken to its core, reveals something shocking. When you look for this solid central self, you cannot find it anywhere. Let's use our 5-minute practice as an investigative experiment. Sit down, close your eyes, and try to find the self. You start by looking in your thoughts. But we've already established that thoughts are impermanent, anicca. They appear and disappear. They aren't you. They are something that happens to you. So the self cannot be in the thoughts. You look in your emotions. but they are even more volatile. You feel happy, then bored, then irritated. If you were your emotions, your identity would shatter and reform every 5 minutes. So the self cannot be in the emotions. You look in your body. I am my body. But your body is a colony of trillions of cells, constantly dying and being replaced. The pain you feel in your knee isn't yours. It's a sensation that arises and passes. So the self is not the body. Okay, you say, but I am the observer. I am the consciousness watching all of this. But what is this consciousness? In your practice, you notice that awareness itself isn't a constant thing. It flows. One moment, you are aware of the sound of the AC. The next, you are aware of your breath. The next, you are aware of a thought. Consciousness itself, the watcher, is also moving and changing. It's not a fixed spotlight. It's more like the light itself, which only exists by illuminating objects. What Buddhism suggests is that there is no thinker behind the thoughts. There is just thinking. There is no feeler behind the feelings. There is just feeling. The self we hold so solid is, in fact, a process. It's a verb, not a noun. It's something the brain does, not something the brain is. It is a story your mind tells itself every single second to organize the chaos of experience. Pause for CTA. I know this is a deep idea and maybe even a little disorienting. It is the very heart of Buddhist teachings for a better life. If you are finding this content valuable and it's making you think in a new way, that is exactly what we hope for. Please leave a like to tell us we should create more deep content like this. And if you truly want to master this inner quiet, subscribe to the channel because what we are building here is a lifelong skill and you won't want to stop now. Continue. So, why is this idea of anatta, non-self, the final key to quieting the mind? Because if there is no solid self to defend, there is no war left to fight. Think about it. All the noise of the monkey mind is ultimately a self-maintenance project. The monkey jumps to clinging, I need that promotion, because it believes the promotion will add to the story of me, making it more secure and happy. The monkey jumps to aversion, I hate how he treated me, because it believes the insult was a personal attack on this central self, and it must defend the fortress. Anxiety is the self worrying about its future survival. Guilt is the self ruminating on its past failures. Pride is the self puffing up its chest. When you practice 5 minutes of observation and you begin to see, even for a split second, that thoughts just arise, sensations just happen, and that there is no me in the middle of it all who is the target, the entire system begins to collapse. When an angry thought appears, instead of, I am angry, you learn to see it as, anger is present. The shift is from this is happening to me to this is just happening. This creates an enormous amount of space. It's what Zen masters call spacious mind. The quiet you find is no longer just the quiet of mental noise. It is the quiet of no longer having to carry the heavy burden of a fragile, scared self that must be defended and promoted 24 hours a day. The monkey finally stops jumping, not because it was forced, but because it realizes there is nothing to protect and nothing to chase. Can at last rest. This doesn't mean you become a passive zombie. On the contrary, you become incredibly alive. You stop living in your head, trapped in the story of me, and you start living in the real world, present for the actual experience of each breath, each sound, each moment. This is the profound quiet. It is the peace that passes all understanding. It is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of just being. In the next chapter, we will climb out of the 3 philosophical marks and get back to practice. What happens when the 5-minute timer goes off? How do we take this quiet and carry it into the chaos of real life? At the office, with our family, and in traffic. We will talk about meditation in the marketplace. Chapter 7. Meditation in the marketplace. Bringing quiet into chaos. Your gentle alarm sounds. The 5 minutes are over. You slowly open your eyes. You might feel a little calmer, a little more centered. And then you stand up, and life begins. The dog barks. The phone buzzes with notifications. The kids are yelling. Traffic is waiting. The stressful email from your boss is blinking in your inbox. The monkey mind, which was sitting quietly in the corner while you watched your breath, sees the open door and runs screaming out into the chaos, jumping with more energy than ever. This is the point where most people quit. They make the fatal mistake of thinking the 5 minutes of practice was the meditation, and the rest of the day is real life. They believe the practice failed because the quiet didn't last. But what if I told you the 5 minutes on the chair wasn't the goal? What if I told you it was just the warm-up? Think of it like an athlete. The athlete doesn't lift weights in the gym thinking that lifting weights is the game. They lift weights so their muscles will be strong during the game. Your 5 minutes of anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing, is your gym. The rest of your day, this is the game. Buddhist teachings are not meant to be practiced only in a silent monastery or on a meditation cushion. That would be too easy. The real test and the real purpose is what is called meditation in the marketplace. It is your ability to find and maintain your center, your spacious awareness. While the stalls are noisy, the people are haggling, and chaos reigns. If the quiet you cultivated for 5 minutes shatters at the first sign of stress, then it wasn't real quiet. It was just the absence of sound. True quiet, the nirvana that Buddhism points to, is an unshakable peace you carry inside you, regardless of the noise outside. So how do we do this? How do we build the bridge from the stillness of our formal practice to the chaos of our daily lives? The answer is through informal mindfulness. It is about planting micro-anchors of awareness throughout your day. The goal is no longer to watch the breath for long periods, but to remember to be present, repeatedly, for just 3 seconds at a time. Your daily life is not a distraction from your practice. Your daily life is your practice. And every irritation, every moment of boredom, every interruption is not an obstacle. It is an opportunity. It is a bell waking you up. Let's look at practical techniques for the marketplace. 1. Turn mundane tasks into sacred practices. We tend to do routine tasks, brushing teeth, washing dishes, showering, driving to work, on complete autopilot. Our bodies are in one place, but our minds, the monkey, are miles away, worrying about the future or ruminating on the past. Choose one of these tasks today, and decide to do it with 100% of your attention. Let's take the Zen classic, washing the dishes. Instead of washing the dishes while mentally planning your next meeting, just wash the dishes. Feel the temperature of the water on your hands. Feel the slippery texture of the soap. Hear the sound of the water hitting the porcelain. Feel the motion of your arm scrubbing the plate. When your mind wanders to your boss, which it will in 5 seconds, gently smile. It's the monkey, and bring your attention back to the sensation of the water. This is meditation. It is no different from your 5-minute practice. The only thing that changed was the anchor. Instead of your breath, your anchor is now the water, the soap, and the plate. By doing this, you transform a moment of mental noise into a moment of focused quiet. You can do this brushing your teeth, feel the bristles, showering, feel the water droplets, or walking, feel your feet hitting the ground. 2. Use transition triggers as mindfulness bells. Our days are filled with transitions. Standing up from a chair, getting into the car, opening a door, picking up the phone. Each of these transitions is an invitation to come back to the present. Try this. Every time your phone rings or buzzes, before you look at it, pause. Take one conscious breath. Feel the inhale and the exhale. Then answer. You have just inserted 1 second of quiet into a cycle of reactivity. Every time you stop at a red light, instead of grabbing your phone or fuming at the traffic aversion, use it as a bell. Place both hands on the steering wheel, feel its texture, and just watch your breath until the light turns green. Traffic just became your mini retreat. 3. The mental handbrake, the STOP practice. This is for when the monkey is truly wild. You get an email that makes your blood boil. Someone cuts you off in traffic. You spill coffee all over your clean shirt. The dukkha aversion reaction is instant and overwhelming. Instead of exploding, apply STOP. Stop. Literally just stop. Freeze. Don't type. Don't speak. Don't honk. Just pause for 1 second. Take a breath. Take one deep, conscious breath. Feel it. This applies your body's parasympathetic brake. Observe. What is happening inside you? Notice the heat in your chest. Notice your heart pounding. Notice the thought, what a jerk. Just observe it. Like a scientist, anicca, anatta. Proceed. Now, having created a space between the stimulus and your reaction, decide how to act. You will likely respond with 90% more intelligence and 100% less regret. Mental quiet is not about living in a bubble. It's about being able to stand in the middle of the explosion and remain the calm space that observes it. Your 5-minute practice is what gives you the muscle strength to apply STOP in real life. The goal is not to be 100% mindful all day. The goal is simply to remember more often. Every time you notice you were lost in thought and you come back to the present, whether to your breath or to the dirty dishes, you have won. In the next chapter, we will tackle one of the most difficult types of noise: how to handle other people. We will talk about the art of mindful communication. Chapter 8. The quiet between two people. Mindful communication. In the last chapter, we took our practice off the cushion and into the marketplace, the chaos of daily life. We learned to use mundane tasks and interruptions as anchors for presence. But there is one area of life where the monkey mind gets wilder, more reactive, and noisier than anywhere else. Our interactions with other people. The most deafening mental noise often doesn't come from emails or traffic. It comes from arguments, misunderstandings, and the anxiety in our relationships. How many times have you been in a conversation where your body was present, but your mind was elsewhere? Someone is speaking to you, your partner, your child, your boss, and while they are talking, what is happening in your head? The monkey is in overdrive. You aren't listening. You are waiting. You are waiting for your turn to talk. You are formulating your rebuttal. You are judging what they're saying. That's ridiculous. You are filtering their words through your own insecurities. What do they mean by that? Was that a criticism? You are planning your defense or your counterattack. The result? Two people in a room, each trapped in their own noisy mental movie, with no real connection happening. This is the source of immense loneliness and conflict. Buddhism offers a radical antidote, a practice that can transform your relationships and silence this interpersonal noise. Mindful listening, or what the Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh called deep listening. Mindful listening is the practice of applying the same principles we use to quiet our own minds while communicating with another person. It is the practice of giving someone the rarest and most precious gift you can give in the modern world, your full, non-judgmental attention. How does this look in practice? First, it's a shift in intention. The intention of a normal conversation is often to win, to prove a point, to get information, or to defend yourself. The intention of mindful listening is singular, to understand. The intention is to offer the other person the space to empty themselves, to be heard, to be seen. When you sit with someone, you adopt the same internal posture as your 5-minute meditation. Your anchor, however, is no longer your breath. Your anchor is the other person. You listen with your whole being. You listen to the words they are saying, but you also listen to what is behind the words. You listen for the emotion in their voice. You notice their body language. You listen for what is not being said. And what do you do with your own monkey mind, which will inevitably start screaming? This is boring. I completely disagree. I need to interrupt and correct this. You do exactly what you learned to do in your 5-minute practice. You note the thought, there is judgment. There is the urge to interrupt. You don't act on it. You don't feed it. You just see it as another impermanent cloud, anicca, and gently you let it go, and you return. You bring your attention with its full force back to the person in front of you. You apply anatta, non-self, in real time. For these moments, you put your own self, your opinions, your needs, your story, on the back burner. You create a silent, compassionate container for the other person's story to unfold. The effect of this is miraculous. When someone feels truly, deeply listened to without judgment, their own defense systems relax. Anger often dissolves. Pain lessens. Connection happens. But what about the second half of communication? Speaking? Buddhism has guidance for that, too. Right speech, part of the Noble Eightfold Path. Right speech doesn't just mean don't lie. It is a mindfulness practice for every word that comes out of your mouth. Before you speak, the practice is to pause, like the S in STOP, and silently ask yourself a few questions. Is it true? No more exaggerating, no more gossiping. Is it useful? Is my opinion truly needed here? Or am I just making noise to boost my ego? Is it kind? Can I speak this truth in a way that doesn't cause needless harm? Is it the right time? Is this the time and place for this conversation? If the answer to any of these is no, Buddhist quiet suggests the best action is often noble silence. You don't have to fill every space with words. Pause for CTA. This skill of quieting your own reactive mind to truly hear another person is perhaps the most transformative skill we can develop for a better life. It changes marriages, heals friendships, and transforms workplaces. If you recognize the power of stopping the internal noise to create real connection, please leave a like on this video. It's a signal to us that we are on the right path. And if you want to keep learning how to apply these deep teachings to all areas of your life, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. The journey gets deeper from here. Continue. Let's be clear. This is hard. This is perhaps the most advanced form of meditation. It is far easier to watch your breath in a quiet room than it is to stay centered and non-judgmental when your partner is telling you something you don't want to hear. When you fail, and you will fail, when you catch yourself lost in judgment or exploding in reactivity, what do? The same thing as always. You don't beat yourself up. I'm a terrible Buddhist. You don't blame yourself. That is just the monkey mind judging itself. Instead, you practice self-compassion. You acknowledge, I was reactive. I got lost. And then you forgive yourself and you begin again. You might even apologize to the other person. I'm sorry. I was lost in my own thoughts for a moment. Could you please repeat that? Quieting the mind isn't just about finding peace inside yourself. It's about being the peace in someone else's life. When you can sit with someone in their anger or their pain, and you can remain anchored, present, and compassionate, not absorbing their drama, but not judging it either, you become a refuge for them. You are no longer just practicing to quiet your mind. You are using your quiet to heal the world around you, one conversation at a time. You become the calm in the middle of the storm. In the next chapter, we will address the emotion that often feels like the antithesis of quiet: anger. We will explore how Buddhist teachings handle this powerful energy, not by suppressing it, but by transforming it. Chapter 9. Handling the Fire, the Buddhist Alchemy of Anger. On our journey to quiet the mind, we have explored the noise of daily thoughts, the noise of resisting life, and the noise in our relationships. But now, we must confront the loudest, most volatile, and most destructive noise of all: the sound of the fire of anger. Anger is the antithesis of quiet. It is the monkey mind in its most dangerous state. It's the monkey not only drunk and stung by a scorpion, but now also wielding a flaming torch. In an instant, anger can hijack your entire consciousness, burn down bridges you spent years building, and wipe out all the calm you cultivated with your 5-minute practice. Many people have a wrong impression of Buddhism. They imagine that being Buddhist or spiritual means being a passive, smiling doormat, incapable of feeling anger. They picture a state of perpetual placidness where nothing ever ruffles you. This is not only unrealistic, it's a dangerous misunderstanding. Buddhist teachings are not about not feeling anger. You are human. You will feel anger. The Buddhist practice is about what you do in the moment the fire starts to burn. The goal is not to become a person who never gets irritated. The goal is to become a person who is no longer destroyed by their own irritation. To do this, we must understand what anger is. In the Buddhist analysis, anger is almost never a primary emotion. It is a mask. It is a secondary armored reaction we use to cover up something far more vulnerable, usually pain or fear. Anger is the self's defense system, anatta. Remember, when someone insults you, the initial pain is the feeling of being diminished. When someone cuts you off in traffic, the initial fear is the jolt of danger. When something is unjust, the pain is the feeling of helplessness. The monkey mind hates feeling vulnerable, pained, or afraid. So it reacts. It hits the big red emergency button. And this explosion of energy we call anger erupts as a protector. It's your mind saying, I will not feel vulnerable. I will be powerful. I will fight. It is the most potent form of aversion. Dukkha. It is, I don't want this, screamed at full volume. Knowing this, we see that society gives us two terrible options for dealing with this fire. 1. Suppression. This is the swallow it approach. You feel the anger rising, but you believe it's wrong to feel it. So you shove it down, lock the angry monkey in a cage in the basement of your mind, put on a fake smile, and pretend everything is fine. Buddhism tells us this is a disaster. Suppressed anger doesn't go away. It becomes a poison. The energy can't be destroyed. It just changes form. It turns into resentment that corrodes your relationships from the inside. It turns into depression, which is anger turned inward against the self. Or it builds up until one day, over something small, the spilled milk, the cage explodes, and the monkey comes out with disproportionate rage, leaving you and everyone around you confused and hurt. 2. Indulgent expression. This is the modern let-it-all-out approach. Vent. It's healthy. The idea is that you should scream, punch a pillow, or send that furious email. Buddhism also sees this as a disaster. When you practice expressing anger, you are doing just that, practicing anger. You are teaching your brain that this is an acceptable and effective response. You are feeding the fire with more oxygen. Every time you explode, you strengthen the neural pathway for anger. You are rewarding the monkey for screaming, ensuring it will scream louder and sooner next time. So, if suppression doesn't work and expression doesn't work, what's left? What's left is the third way, the way of the Buddha. It is not suppression, nor expression. It is mindful observation. It is the alchemy of turning poison into medicine. It is the incredibly difficult, but transformative, skill of feeling the anger fully, in all its fiery power, without acting on it. It is allowing the fire to burn, but remaining the silent, conscious space around it, without becoming the fire. How do we do this? We use our 5-minute practice as the base training. But when anger explodes, we apply an emergency version. 1. Acknowledge the fire, the alarm. The very first second you feel the heat rising, your practice kicks in. Instead of instantly getting lost in the story, "What a jerk! How dare he?" your first thought is, anger. This is anger. Just this mental label is revolutionary. You are not, "I am angry." You are, awareness is noticing the presence of anger. You have just woken up in the middle of the fire. 2. Anchor in the body, the emergency anchor. Do not give attention to the story. The story is the firewood. Don't think about what you're going to say. Don't rehearse the insult. Forget the other person. Immediately, dive your attention into your physical body. Anger is a physical experience. Where is it? Feel the heat on your face. Feel your jaw clenching. Feel your heart pounding like a drum in your chest. Feel your fists wanting to clench. Feel the adrenaline pulsing in your arms. This is the raw energy of anger, before your mind turns it into a revenge plot. 3. Breathe with the fire extinguisher now. Breathe. But not a weak breath. Breathe deeply, sending the breath into the sensations of heat and tightness. Imagine your breath is cool water circulating around the fire. Not to put it out instantly, but to contain it. Inhale, feel the energy. Exhale, release a little of the muscle tension. Inhale, anchor. Exhale, calm. 4. Watch the fire's impermanence, Anicca. Just stay with it. Don't run. Don't act. Just observe these intense physical sensations. Watch them with the curiosity of a scientist. Are they solid? Or are they pulsing? Are they changing? Modern science shows that the raw chemical surge of an emotion lasts only about 90 seconds in the body. Just 90 seconds. The only reason anger lasts for hours or days is because we keep refeeding it with new thoughts, restarting the loop. If you stop feeding the fire with the firewood of your thoughts, what happens? The fire burns up its initial fuel and begins to fade. The energy dissipates. You stand in the middle of the fire, unburnt. You practice non-action. When the wave passes, when the heat subsides, the smokescreen of reactivity will clear. And what is left? Clarity. The energy of anger, once stripped of its reactive story, is just energy. It's power. And now, instead of using it to destroy, you can use it constructively. It transforms into the energy for right action. It becomes the clarity to set a firm boundary, but without hatred. It becomes the passion to correct an injustice. It can even transform into compassion when you realize the person who attacked you was likely acting from their own pain. Quieting the mind doesn't mean living in a world without fire. It means becoming a master of the fire. It means learning to dance with the flame of anger without letting it burn down your house. In our final chapter, we will bring all the pieces together. We will see how impermanence, non-self, and the transformation of anger lead to the ultimate goal of all Buddhist teaching: radical compassion and the end of noise. Chapter 10. The final goal of quiet, the birth of compassion, metta and karuna. We have come on a long journey together. We started with the diagnosis of a universal problem. The monkey mind, noisy, drunk, and suffering, jumping ceaselessly between past and future. We debunked the myth of stopping thinking and instead found a sacred anchor in our own breath, a 5-minute practice, anapanasati. Using this practice as our laboratory, we dove into the 3 fundamental truths of existence. We discovered the radical impermanence of all things, anicca, seeing our thoughts and emotions as passing clouds. We identified the engine of our mental noise, our clinging and aversion, dukkha and tanha, our endless tug-of-war with reality. And then, we went to the core of the illusion, questioning the very self that was doing the fighting, and found the liberating truth of non-self, anatta. We learned to take this practice into the chaos of the marketplace, to listen mindfully, and even to transform the destructive fire of anger into conscious energy. And now we have reached the end. And the question that remains is why? What is the ultimate purpose of quieting the mind? Is it just so I can have a calmer life? Is it a purely selfish project to find a personal refuge from the noisy world? If the self is an illusion, anatta, who is it that's benefiting from all this practice? This is the most beautiful twist in all of Buddhist teaching. The journey to quiet the mind begins, for almost all of us, as an act of self-care. But if practiced honestly, it cannot end there. It inevitably transforms into something much, much bigger. The quiet you have cultivated is not a vacuum. It is not a cold, sterile emptiness. The quiet that arises when the noise of the self subsides is the fertile soil from which the 2 noblest qualities of consciousness are born: metta, loving kindness, and karuna, compassion. Here is how it happens. As you stop fighting your own monkey mind and instead learn to observe it with gentleness. Every time you bring your attention back to the breath without judgment, what are you practicing? You are practicing metta for yourself. You are being kind to your own confused mind. You are stopping the internal civil war. By practicing this gentle kindness with yourself, you become deeply aware of your own struggle and your own wish for peace. And then you look out at the world. You look at the person honking in traffic, the person who was rude to you in the grocery line, the coworker who sent that passive-aggressive email. Before your practice, you saw an enemy. You saw an idiot. You saw a threat to yourself. Your monkey mind saw their monkey mind and went to war. But now, with the clarity of quiet, what do you see? You no longer see a monster. You see their dukkha. You see, with heartbreaking clarity, that they have a noisy monkey mind, too. That they are also drunk with confusion and stung by the scorpion of dissatisfaction. You see that their anger is just the mask for their pain or their fear, just as yours was. The truth of anatta, non-self, shatters the solid wall between me and other. It shows us that we are all in this together. We are all in the same boat, being tossed by the same waves of impermanence, all desperately looking for a safe harbor. Anger, irritation, and judgment cannot survive this insight. They are replaced by something else entirely. When you see another suffering, that insight becomes karuna, compassion. It is the active wish for their suffering to lessen. It is not pity, which comes from a place of superiority. It is empathy, which comes from a place of unity, and the wish for them to find peace, just as you are seeking your own, becomes metta, loving kindness. This is the true quiet. The final quiet is not the absence of sound. The final quiet is the absence of war. It is the end of separation. It is the mind that has stopped fighting with itself and therefore has stopped fighting with the world. Your 5-minute practice, then, becomes your daily act of cultivating world peace, starting in the only place you have any real control, the space between your own two ears. Your better life, promised by Buddhist teachings, is not a life without problems. It is not a life without pain or loss or anger. That would be impossible, for life is anicca. The better life is one where your default response to pain, your own or others, is no longer blind reactivity, but spacious clarity. It is the life where you have the freedom to choose your response. And more you find that the only response that makes any sense, the only response that doesn't create more suffering, is compassion. The monkey doesn't disappear, but you have taught it to stop jumping frantically. You have taught it to sit beside you. You have made peace with it. And together, in the quiet, you can finally watch the sunrise. We have finished the 10 chapters. We started with a promise to quiet your mind in 5 minutes. And we discovered that those 5 minutes are the gateway to the deepest truths of life. You have learned that you do not have to be a prisoner of your own noise. You have learned that you have the power, with every single breath, to return to the present. You have learned to watch the storm without becoming the storm. And, most importantly, you have learned that the end result of this inner peace is not isolation, but a deep and compassionate connection with all of life. This is not the end of your journey. This is the beginning of your training. The monkey mind is strong, and the habits are old. There will be days when the noise seems unbearable. On those days, remember the most important instruction. Be gentle. Just begin again. Sit for 5 minutes. Watch one breath. It is all that is ever required. If this 10-chapter journey has meant something to you, if you have felt a spark of truth or a moment of peace, I ask you one last thing. Help us share this quiet. Please, leave a like on this video so this message can find other minds in need of peace. And, most importantly, if you completed this journey with us and want to continue to deepen your practice, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. We have much more to explore together. Thank you for your time and your attention. Your journey to a life of more peace, clarity, and compassion is just beginning. Breathe and begin now.